So for quite a while on this channel, we've been talking about VTubers and Twitch, right? And essentially how Twitch has been mistreating a lot of VTubers in many different ways. And one of them was the kind of whole Twitch chat thing, where essentially if people didn't interact with the chat enough, well, you know, Twitch would then remove some of their viewers, which I think was pretty ridiculous. And this has been affecting a lot of VTubers and also streamers in the space, and has not been the best of times for many VTubers. And this continues on, right? We've had stuff, for example, like the HoloLive event, where a lot of people have been commenting and pointing out Twitch's kind of action against VTubers and how much they kind of discriminate against them, right? And the fact that they're kind of teaming up with one of the biggest VTuber agencies out there at the same time just feels extremely weird. And like, I don't know if it's called hypocrisy, but like, I think it's more something else. I don't know what you would really call that. But again, it's not good, and it doesn't have a very good look for Twitch, especially when they're actively banning VTubers for no reason at all. And well, it seems like recently I came across a clip from Shylily talking about the whole censorship of VTubers and some of their models and designs, and how different this can be going backwards and forwards in terms of, you know, some VTubers have a little bit more leeway, and also some other kind of streamers in general, as in like IRL streamers, can get away with a lot more than VTubers can, and obviously VTubers end up banned because, I don't know, because they're VTubers, right? Which I think is pretty insane, and that is how Twitch has been working for at least the past couple of years, right? So let's play this and then we'll talk about it.
Also VTuber, so like this isn't just, I don't want to accuse anyone. I don't think any of what people I have done is bad if they haven't gotten banned for it usually, but everyone knows Twitch is hard on VTubers, so I've seen VTubers, especially 3D VTubers, do so much worse, 5 times worse. It's like, whoa, like I know I'm tiptoeing the line, but I'm tiptoeing the gray area. In my opinion, they are far beyond the line. Whether Twitch is doing something or not, I don't care. Either everyone can do it or no one can do it. I don't care if there is a guideline as long as it's equally enforced, but like, I've seen plenty 3D VTubers and VRChat VTubers go way across that line from what I've done. I always consider me tap dancing in the gray area. They are playing tennis in fucking hell. You know? Like, I don't think I've tiptoed. I tiptoe. I don't overstep. I tiptoe. I've seen people do plenty overstepping. They're like far, far gone. Like you can barely even see them. They're like past the fucking horizon so far. That's how far they are across the fucking line. They take a fucking plane, they take a fucking jet and fucking over the goddamn line. But I'm the one who gets banned, bro. What the fuck? I'm the one who gets banned. But yeah.
So yeah, obviously that was the whole clip there, essentially talking about it, and it is a very good point from Shylily, because she's not even arguing the fact that maybe some stuff shouldn't be allowed on Twitch, and you know, some certain models and some certain designs shouldn't be allowed, right? That could actually be totally okay, and Twitch can totally enforce those kind of rules. But the problem that a lot of people have is the fact that, you know, there's many people who have a kind of gray area, or a kind of, I guess, you know, area where some people get removed, but some people don't. And even if they are an extremely big streamer, and this goes for, you know, even some of the top streamers, right? We see this with like Hassan and people like that as well, where essentially Twitch likes to ban people like randomly. They like to ban them for whatever reason, but then someone would do the exact same thing over on their platform, but because they like them, because I don't know, their moderation system isn't good enough or whatever, they will not get banned, and they'll be able to get away with it for years, despite maybe a VTuber or someone like that who obviously gets picked up straight away and gets banned, which I think is pretty ridiculous. And I think many VTubers are fed up of it, because a lot of it does seem to be happening towards VTubers in particular, right? And I don't know whether, you know, there's some big conspiracy behind the scenes about this, whether Twitch just hates VTubers, or maybe Twitch just watches a lot of VTubers. The staff themselves, the moderators actually, you know, do this kind of stuff, which I think could also be the case. But again, I think that it is pretty ridiculous that, you know, you have IRL streamers and also other VTubers, as Shylily says there, VRChat 3D kind of VTubers as well, who essentially, yeah, have this big issue of they get away with so much more than maybe some of the regular VTubers on the platform, like Shylily, which again, her model there is pretty crazy, but again, it is within Twitch guidelines and everything like that, so that is allowed. But again, she even says there that she is kind of tiptoeing the grey line, and it is not very unlikely. I wouldn't be surprised if she did end up getting banned. But then obviously, yeah, as she says, there's so many other people out there who get away with so much more, which, yeah, I think is a totally invalid criticism of Twitch, because they just can't stay consistent. And she even says there, either get rid of all of it or keep all of it. Like, it doesn't matter, to her whether, they put out like a blanket ban on this kind of like outfits or whatever like that on VTubers, right? That's totally fine. But at least keep it the same for everybody and enforce it the same for everybody, rather than, picking little bits here and there from different streamers and making it super inconsistent, which I think is the biggest problem with this kind of stuff, right? I saw a couple of threads talking about this as well, especially on VTuber Circle Jerk here, saying, well, I thought I didn't need to go on Twitch, but I need to find these VTubers 5 times worse than this outfit from Shylily, which again, yeah, I mean, her outfit is pretty crazy, but I have seen some crazier ones, right? Some people say Gooner Friendly VTuber talks about Goonier VTubers, said, I'm not saying that she's lying, but I need to see some proof with my own eyes. Does anyone have the names of these line crossing VTubers? Twitter ads would be the most helpful. Now, obviously, yeah, I don't think Shylily actually provides any examples specifically of it. Now, I can understand why she hasn't, because, obviously Twitch is a very, small community at the end of the day. People are going to find out whether Shylily has talked about you on stream specifically, right, for violating stuff. And, sometimes that can cause a little bit of drama and controversy, right? So I can understand why she didn't just say, this person right here, this is the VTuber who is doing it, right? But I also think there's many VTubers and also IRL streamers as well who, kind of cross the line even further, who, do not get banned either. But, other people who are doing stuff that is much tamer is also not, they get banned at the end of the day. I don't know why this is a thing that Twitch does, but it is pretty insane. I've saying she's talking about 3D VTubers from VRChat. In this case, I only knew one. Yes, he said he on streaming on Twitch said VRChat has its own set of rules. Lily should know this, and that is something that people did point out, is that some VRChat streamers have their own rules and things. But I do think the kind of disparity between rules is pretty insane, right? You're saying you can't knowingly push the boundaries of the rules, then surprise Pikachu face when your hands get slapped. VTubers in that victim mentality, man. Said, if a VTuber uses VRChat, does slightly SFW stuff, no problem, it's a game. If a VTuber does stuff outside of VRChat that's slightly NSFW, screw you, get banned. Both are a person operating a virtual avatar. Both could be doing the exact same thing. One gets punished, the other doesn't. If you think that's fair TOS, then you are dumb as the rest of Twitter and Reddit. Very good point there. I do think that is a very good point. I think that, they shouldn't be allowed to get away with all of this stuff, right? I can understand allowing this kind of content within games and things, for example. Like, say you load up GTA or like whatever, and there's a scene that, maybe wouldn't usually be allowed on a platform like that, but they allow it because it's a game. That's totally fine, right? That's not kind of breaking any rules and things. But whenever it comes to VR chat and models and things like that, you're both operating a model, whether it's 2D or 3D. There shouldn't be any disparity between the rules, and 3D VTubers are allowed to do way more and get away with way more than 2D ones. It's crazy, right? Saying if it was fair, she's still catching the ban, doesn't change the situation. And again, she even literally mentions this. I think a lot of people are taking this a little bit too, on the nose or whatever, because again, Shylily literally mentions, she's totally okay if they ban her as well as these other people. Just have a blanket rule. Have like a rule that is consistent. It doesn't matter if, yes, she gets banned for this model that she has on stream or whatever, right? That's fine. But as long as the other VTubers are also being banned for the same thing, then that's a good way that Twitch should be moderating. Or it could be the other way around too, they allow the 3D VTuber stuff, but they also allow 2D VTubers to get away with the same stuff the 3D VTubers get away with, right? And the same goes for IRL streamers too, there's so many, you ever been on those categories where they're essentially just like oiled up and stuff? Not that I go on there often, but you get what I mean. There's tons of streamers like that too, which, kind of show off a lot more than the average streamer, let's say. And yeah, they also manage to get away with all of that kind of stuff too, because they've read the TOS to a T and they're trying to exploit it. And yeah, obviously then that creates a massive disparity within, you know, people getting banned and things, right? And yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't very happy with this clip, but at the end of the day, I do think she is totally right in terms of, you know, how unfair it is. Again, you can totally be unhappy with the fact that Shylily, you know, has a model like this or whatever, and you dislike that fact. Sure, that's totally fine. But I think she's totally right in the fact of saying that the rules need to be the same for everybody, and that the rules shouldn't be just different based on what game you're playing and what kind of version your model is in, right? I think that is pretty ridiculous, and I think a lot of people kind of fail to understand that and yeah, kind of take that into account. There's also a lot of comments as well, you know, saying there's always a lot of confusion with VRChat. VRChat is a game with R18 content. You're allowed to stream that in the VRChat category, which is something that a lot of people have been bringing up. It's due to categories and what you're in. But again, as I said, I still think it should be the same. I think, you know, you should have the same rules if that, you know, if you want to apply that, because again, it does look very unfair. And even if you give VTubers their own category to stream in, where they have the same rules as the VRChat one, because obviously they're not in VRChat, so they can't go into the VRChat category. But also, if you give them their own category where they're allowed to have the same rules as the VRChat people, I think that could also work. Or even just, you know, allowing VTubers to do that in the just chatting category. I don't know. But again, at the end of the day, I do think, you know, there should be some changes made to the rules in terms of that kind of stuff. Obviously, a lot of people as well saying main reason why models on VRChat can get away with a lot more necessary is due to the lax enforcement and their own policy regarding the fact that there's a lot happening within the game and outside of the streamer's control to regulate in VRChat's worlds, which also is pretty true as well. There's a lot outside of you know, the space which could also be out of the streamer's control, which I think that is why they're more relaxed with that kind of stuff. But again, I still think there should be some kind of, you know, rule change or rule update to kind of make it a little bit more, you know, fairer for all VTubers and all kind of people who use models in the space. Again, I don't think Shylily's wrong with that. Maybe she was a little bit harsh on it, and maybe she doesn't understand the VRChat rules as much. But you know, in the future, at least, without, you know, kind of regarding any of the VRChat stuff at the moment or the just chatting stuff at the moment, right, with the rules in there, I still think it should be equal at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing. And no matter, you know, if you're in VRChat using a 3D model or having a 2D model. But yeah, I just thought this was a pretty interesting conversation that I wanted to just share on stream, because again, it was a pretty interesting kind of thing. Lots of people kind of chiming in with their own opinions. I think it is pretty 50-50 in terms of people agreeing with Shylily or not. A lot of people have been essentially kind of adding their own facts and stuff. Saying the fact that, hey, you know, VRChat does have a different set of rules, which I think is something that maybe Shylily didn't consider. I'm not sure if she knows that. But again, I do think there should be some kind of rule change, though, at the end of the day, to kind of make it a little bit too fair. And yeah, some VTubers do, you know, play with fire, as she says there. But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.